the aid industry comes to start and step in to do what the government ought to be doing, what our public finance systems ought to be doing. Because our constitution provides for everything that a Kenyan need. In times there's a disaster, there's a disaster fund.
Yes.
You know, in times of any crisis, the constitutions provide. But then now the aid industry comes in, as Noe is asking, it comes to sort of interfere and sustain another culture where there is aid dependency. Does that, in your opinion, take away our structural strength? Because our institutions are not as strong as they ought to be. If we did not have the aid industry, maybe we would have revised to see our systems strong enough, resilient enough to withstand whatever shockers will come our way. It could be agricultural crisis, medical crisis, a natural calamity. How would you rate our institutional strength vis-a-vis the aid industry and now the violation of our public finance?
Absolutely. And that's a very interesting question in the sense that we start looking at, what kind of systems do we have in place and do they function, as it were. So you're very right that our legal framework provides for safeguards for, how we deal with this kind of crisis. The Constitution, first of all, when it kind of devolved system, kind of divided functions between national and county governments, gave counties mandate to deal with disasters as a primary actor.
Right.
And then allowed national government to come in to support counties in dealing with that, partially because counties are closer to people, so they are in a better place to respond.
Correct.
And so if you look at PFM, for example, Act, Section 110, it mandates all counties to establish an emergency fund. And this emergency fund is supposed to be a fund. You take money out of your regular budget and put it aside. So that money is supposed to be, the reason why it sits aside, outside the regular system, is because it's for rapid response. Rapid response means if it floods now, we don't need to go looking for money in the budget because you cannot plan for an emergency as a regular, the way you plan for your salaries and other things. And so every county in Kenya have an emergency fund, or at least it's expected to have an emergency fund. And then we have several other instruments. Of course, Section 116 of the PFM Act allows counties to set up other instruments. At national level, we have the National Drought Emergency Fund, which is supposed then to also deal with, you can see by the name, is the drought, and so forth. Now,
I thought the name was supposed to, but it's okay.
Yeah. So you can see already we have instruments in place. So at the county level, you have emergency fund, you have disaster risk management fund, and then you have something else called county climate change fund, which is supported by, if you add to something called FLOCA, supported by World Bank. Now, these instruments are supposed to do three things. One is response, rapid response, which is the emergency fund. The disaster risk management fund is supposed to be an active instrument, looking back and looking forward to say, if we responded, what did we respond to and what caused that response? And then use that information to inform the investment for the future. How do we build resilience? Now, the aid either strengthens the system or weakens the system. Now,
in our case?
Yes. In our case, it actually weakens in a lot of ways because we've seen in counties the emergency fund is not even feasible. Communities don't have an idea about it exists. We went to Garissa, Marsabit and Tana River and asked citizens whether they know the emergency fund, and most of them are like, no, we even don't know. Now, if they don't know the primary instrument that is supposed to respond to the disasters and the challenges they face every day, then what is the purpose of that fund? What they know is the humanitarian aid. They know that, World Vision comes with money, for example. And then they also know that, the people who respond to disasters are NGOs. Then what it means is that our systems are not doing what it's supposed to do. And the challenge here is that when humanitarian actors come and run parallel systems to the systems that exist, then they're not serving the purpose that they should serve, which is come and support systems that are
already functioning.
Yes. Yeah. So work with it, develop it, so that even if they're not there, then the systems can continue function. Take, for example, what happened to USAID. USAID, when they exited, what happened to healthcare?
Crisis.
We almost collapsed. Now imagine a situation where humanitarian actors also exceed the space, while our systems have been weakened because governors know, like, NGOs will come and respond, right? And so they don't strengthen the emergency fund, for example. So it becomes a problem.